you are all able to download the presentation materials from our portal iTalim. Yeah. Okay. So how many do we have in the room now? Anybody can respond?
47.
47. Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. All right. Have you all watched the video on topic 5 on the elasticities? Yeah, I hope you are able to watch them because next class on Thursday, we will have an exercise on topic 4 and topic 5. Just a revision exercise on topic 4 and topic 5, which will be taken as your marks for assignment. Remember, we have quizzes and also assignment. So during this remote teaching and learning approach, we will also have exercises in addition to assignments. So normally, what we do, we give out questions, exercises, or problem sets, and you all need to do it in a group so that there will be group discussions to find the solutions for those problems. However, because of this emergency remote teaching and learning, we are not able to facilitate this group discussion in the class. Yeah. So what we will do next class, which is the day after tomorrow on Thursday. Today is 27, so sorry, today is 23rd, 24th, 25th. Yeah, next class on Thursday. I will open iTalim for exercise number 1 from 11:30 up to 3:30. So 11:30 up to 3:30 for both sections, so that you are able to go on iTalim and try out the exercises. And for these exercises, you are able to discuss among yourself. Yeah, not like quizzes. It is a closed book, no discussion, nothing. Yeah, but for exercises, you are allowed to discuss with your friends. Yeah? So it's a platform in which you are able to consult your book or other materials, as well as discussing the questions with your friends in order to improve your understanding. Okay, any question on that?
So it's an individual assessment.
Yes, it is individual. You need to uh, complete the exercise individually, and the marks will also be given individually. But as I said, you are able to discuss the solutions, how to do it, and also refer to the textbook and other materials that you have. So it will cover topic 4 and 5. Yeah. Topic 4 is on the market failures, and topic 5 is on elasticities. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
will you give assignment for this season, this semester?
We will have assignment in this form, exercises. Yeah. In the past, I will give problem sets, the same questions where you need to do it in a group. Yeah, and then you submit. Yeah, but during this ERTL, I will give you exercises for you to do it on iTalim. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Right.
Doctor,
Yes.
how much marks for this exercise?
Altogether, there will be 3 exercises. Yeah. So 5% for each one. The same with our quiz. We have 15% for the quizzes. So hopefully we will be able to have 3 quizzes or more. If we are able to do more than 3 quizzes, then we can choose the best 3 out of 4, yeah, or out of 5. I don't think we are able to make it up to 5, but certainly it is possible that we can have 3 or 4 quizzes. Yeah? If we have 3 quizzes, then all 3 will be taken. But if we have 4 quizzes, then it will be the best 3 out of that 4. Okay. Anything else?
Sir,
Yep.
so 15% for quiz and 15% for exercise. I mean, total 30%.
30%, yes. And then
Oh,
we have our midterm exam, remember, on
yeah.
the 2nd of July,
So it will
right?
be carry 20%.
Yeah, midterm will be 20%. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, I want to share my screen now because we will be starting our topic on consumer utility theory. Yeah? Can you see my slides now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum again. So today we will continue with topic 6, which is on consumer utility theory or consumer behavior as a whole. Yeah. These are some of the objectives of the chapter. We will look at the concept of utility and then the concept of total utility and marginal utility. We will talk about the law of diminishing marginal utility and what we call the marginal utility per dollar. Yeah? So comparing marginal utility with the price of the product. And we will look at consumer utility maximization exercise and how consumer will be able to uh, uh, decide on which combination which will result in the maximum utility. So with that, we are able to derive the demand schedule based on potential changes in the price level. And the second approach to utility maximization theory is by using indifference curve analysis. So this will be the second component of the chapter. Yeah. Okay, what is utility? I think you still remember what is utility. The satisfaction that the consumer derive by consuming a particular goods or services, right? Okay, so there are a number of important things that we need to remember in relation to the concept of utility. So utility refers to satisfaction and not usefulness. Yeah, sometimes certain things are not that useful, but it creates a lot of satisfaction. Yeah, for example, many people hang paintings on the wall, right? It doesn't give much. It doesn't bring much usefulness. Yeah? Unlike television that you can watch movies or watch news or iron where you can iron your clothes and so on. But painting doesn't have any physical usefulness except to make the hall look beautiful. Yeah. So that creates a lot of satisfaction for people. And then some people keep a lot of collectibles. Yeah. stamps, for example. It creates a lot of satisfaction, yeah, but it doesn't give the owner of the stamps collection or what other things that you collect, coins, yeah? So when you collect all of this, it doesn't give you any physical usefulness, but it creates a lot of satisfaction for the collectors, yeah? So we need to differentiate between satisfaction and usefulness. And many people would be willing to pay a very, very high price for certain things that are not that useful to them, but creates a lot of satisfaction. So this is what we call the marginal utility pricing theory. Yeah? People willing to pay based on how much satisfaction they derive from a certain good or service. It is subjective because even if we uh, consume the same thing, let's say uh, a twin, yeah, Ali and Abu, went to the same restaurant, ordered the same meal, yeah, being served by the same waiter, yeah, but the satisfaction that each of them derive from that meal may not be the same, yeah, because the level of satisfaction depends on that person, the taste and preference of that person, and therefore it is very subjective in nature. And not only subjective, it is difficult to quantify how you want to measure the level of satisfaction from one person to another person, even when they are consuming the same thing. Yeah? So it is not easy to quantify or measure the level of satisfaction a person receives by consuming a particular goods or services. Okay. However, to make our analysis simple, just to for the sake of understanding consumer behavior, we have assumed that utility or the level of satisfaction can be measured. Okay? Of course, this is something that many economists are not happy with as well. That's why we have the second approach, which use the indifference curve analysis. Remember from the earlier slide on the objective of the chapter, initially we talk about marginal total utility and marginal utility theory and so on. That is what we call the cardinal utility approach. Cardinal utility refers to an approach in consumer utility theory that assume we are able to measure the level of satisfaction. Okay, and the level of satisfaction is measured by using what we call utils. So one util refers to one unit of satisfaction. This is an imaginary measurement for utility. Just like when we want to measure height, yeah? How tall are you? So what do you use? Centimeters or feet, yeah? I'm 5 feet 6 inches, for example, yeah? Or how you want to measure distances, 100 kilometers, or some people still prefer to use miles, 80 miles, yeah. So these are standard measurement of measuring distances and height, yeah, and also other forms of standard measurements such as temperature, we use Celsius, weight, we use grams and kilograms, yeah. So similarly, economists using this cardinal utility approach assume that we are able to measure the level of consumer satisfaction by using an imaginary unit called utils. Yeah? One util refers to one unit of satisfaction. So total utility refers to the total number of utils, yeah, that a consumer will enjoy or receive by consuming a certain number of goods or services. Marginal utility is the extra utility, extra satisfaction that somebody gain by consuming one more additional unit of the good or services. So the law of diminishing marginal utility means, the law of diminishing means declining, marginal means extra, utility means satisfaction. The law that states whenever a consumer consumes more and more units of a particular goods or services, their extra satisfaction will decline as they consume additional units of the good. Yeah. Okay, as the consumption of the goods increases, which means that the consumer is consuming more and more of the same product, the marginal utility obtained with the additional consumption of the good declining, diminishes. Yeah. For example, I believe that you are now feeling a little bit hungry because it's moving towards lunchtime, right? So let's say you are given a large pizza, yeah, and then there's 8 slices on that large pizza. So you are taking the first slice, yeah. What will you feel, yeah? Because you are now hungry, yeah. Pizza smells very good. Your utility or satisfaction from eating that first slice of pizza will be very high. Okay, so you finish that first one, and then you take another one, the second one. What will be the utility now? Will it be the same, higher, or lower?
Lower.
Probably lower, right? Yeah, probably lower, because one slice of from a large pizza can be quite big in the size, right? So you feel that your tummy is slowly filling up. Yeah. So the second one may not necessarily, the second one may be a little bit lower. How about you take the third one? It depends on how big is your tummy, but assuming an average size, yeah, Malaysian size, not international one, Malaysian size. So maybe the third one give you much lower. How about taking the fourth one? Maybe you are now starting to feel that you are taking too much already, right? And that fourth unit may not even give you any additional utility. Yeah. How about taking the fifth one? Probably now your tummy is aching, yeah, because too much, yeah, too much food. Yeah. So if you are feeling the pain, yeah, and not enjoying the consumption, now utility becomes disutility. Okay, utility becomes disutility, like comfort, discomfort, right? So initially you are enjoying and you are gaining satisfaction from eating those slices of pizzas. However, now with the fifth slice of pizza, you are feeling uh, a tummy ache, yeah, and therefore utility now becomes disutility. Yeah. So what happened? You have a negative satisfaction, which will reduce the total satisfaction that you have accumulated so far. Yeah. So even though the second one is lower than the first one, the third is lower than the second one, the fourth maybe doesn't contribute anything, but the first, the second, and the third still give you positive additional utility. In other words, even though the additional utility is declining, but total utility is still increasing, right? But with the fifth slice, you will face negative utility. So it will reduce the total utility that you have enjoyed previously. Yeah. And this law of diminishing marginal utility will explain why the demand curve is downward sloping. We will see that later on. Yeah. Why, when a consumer is maximizing utility, the consumer will buy more of that particular good when the price is lower. Okay, you can see the table here, right? So this table shows the level of total utility and marginal utility of successive numbers of tacos consumed by a consumer. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You have a table and a diagram as well, or just a table here?
Both.
Both, yeah? Okay. Now, for the first unit of tacos a consumer consume, how much is the total utility? $10, right? Okay.
Yes.
For when the consumer consume 2 units, 18, right? Increase to 18, right? The 3 units,
24.
24, 4 units,
28.
28.
4 units, 28, 5 units,
30.
30, 6 units,
Also
30
30.
as well, 7 units,
28.
28. Okay. Let's look at this number first. Yeah. Total utility refers to the total accumulated level of satisfaction. That's why you see that as you are consuming additional units, the numbers are increasing. Yeah. Marginal utility, on the other hand, looks at the difference. How much the next unit give additional total utility to the consumer. Yeah. For example, when a consumer consumes 0 unit, so total utility will be 0. But when the consumer consume the first unit, total utility increased from 0 to 10. So the marginal utility of the first unit is 10. 10 minus 0, 10. Okay. So marginal figures will always be in between. Yeah. You need to have two numbers to compute marginal utility or any other marginal figures. Later we will talk about cost, so there will be marginal cost. Later we will talk about production, there will be marginal product. Yeah. So when we talk about marginal figures, we need to have two numbers, and the difference of that number becomes the marginal figure, marginal value. Yeah. Okay. And then when we talk about total utility, we refer to the total number of units consumed. For example, yeah, watch the choice of my words. Yeah, when the consumer will receive 24 units of utility when the consumer consumes how much? 24 is how much? 3 units. Yeah, 3 units of tacos. Yeah. So consuming 3 units of tacos gave the consumer 24 units of utility. However, when we refer to marginal utility values, we don't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We say the first unit, the second unit, the third, the fourth, the fifth. Yeah? So the choice of words refers to the difference between the previous unit and the next unit. For example, what is the marginal utility for the first unit? First means from 0 to 1. Okay, marginal utility for the first unit will be the addition to the total utility when the consumer move from 0 unit to 1 unit. Yeah? So 0 to 1 means from 0 to 10 utils. So the marginal utility is 10 utils. What is the marginal utility of the 6th unit? From 5 to 6. 0, right? 0. Because total utility hasn't changed. Yeah. So 5 units give the consumer 30 utils. 6 unit also give the consumer 30 utils, right? So marginal utility of the 6 unit of taco is 0. But when the consumer consume beyond that 7th unit, then what happened to marginal utility? It becomes
Negative.
negative value, right? So when it becomes negative value, then only total utility decline. So if you look at the graph, you have total utility curve and marginal utility curve. Can you see the graph there? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So initially, what happened to marginal utility? Marginal utility is increasing, right? Marginal utility is going up, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What can you observe with total utility?
It's decline.
Total utility is also increasing, right? Total utility is also
Yeah.
increasing, but it is increasing at an increasing rate. Yeah, increasing at an increasing rate. You see that the slope becomes steeper. Yeah, the slope becomes steeper. However, when marginal utility started to fall, what happened to total utility? Will it fall? When marginal utility started to fall, will total utility fall as well? No, right? Marginal utility started to fall from oh, sorry. Oh, this is okay. Okay, my mistake. When the consumer start consuming the first one, marginal utility is 10, right? When the consumer consume the second unit, marginal utility drops to 8, and then drop to 6, drop to 4, drop to 2, and finally 0, and then becomes negative. So what happened to the total utility is the total utility is increasing, yeah, as long as the marginal utility is positive. Yeah, as long as the marginal utility is positive, the total utility will continue to increase. However, when the marginal utility started to be in a negative value, -2, what happens to total utility? Total
Decline.
utility will decline. Yeah. Okay. So at what point the law of diminishing marginal utility happen? At what point?
67.
7th.
Okay.
The answer is second, not with the 7th unit. The answer is with the second unit. Why? Because we are referring to the law of diminishing marginal utility. When did marginal utility started to fall? With the second unit, right?
Yes.
So the 7th unit is when the total utility started to fall, not marginal utility. You get my point?
Oh, I see.
So marginal utility started to fall with the second unit. So the law of diminishing marginal utility in this example started from the second unit. Yeah. So the law of diminishing marginal utility refers to the declining additional satisfaction. So since marginal utility started to fall immediately with the second unit, then so the law of diminishing marginal utility happens right from the second unit. There is also a possibility that initially, when you consume more units, marginal utility may initially increase. Okay. For example, if let's say you are eating eating what? Let's say you are eating durian. Anybody fancy some durian for lunch? Yeah, durian. The first one give you because you are a durian lover. Yeah? The first one give you some level of satisfaction, but you crave for more. So there's possibility that the second one give you higher. The third one give you even higher, because all your taste bud before that is not ready, because you are just taking durian for the first time this year. Yeah, because durian is not available throughout the year. So this is the first time this season that you are taking that durian. So for the first one, your taste bud is not that ready. The second one, now it absorbs all the flavors and so on. And then the third one, so you are able to enjoy it fully. Yeah. So there's a possibility that the second one is higher than the first one. The third one is even higher than the second one. But then with the fourth one, marginal utility started to fall. And then the fifth one fall even lower and so on. So there is a possibility for the marginal utility to initially increase and then decrease. Yeah. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So, but in this example, the marginal utility immediately drop with the second unit. Okay. But there is possibility that marginal utility may initially increase with the second or third, and then only it started to fall. Yeah. So I'm just giving you a possibility. Yeah? But many examples that we have in the textbook will show that marginal utility immediately drop with the second unit. Okay, now we want to understand how consumer decide on a purchase. Yeah? So these are some of the assumptions that we have. We assume that a consumer is rational. You still remember what rationality means in economics?
Maximize utility, set interest.
Okay, so it means that there is a purpose, yeah, or objective that the consumer is making the decision on. Yeah, for example, in the case of a consumer, we assume that a rational consumer will make the purchase decision which will serve his or her best interest. Yeah, so what is your objective from buying that particular good? So to maximize your satisfaction. So if the purpose and the action, which is the purchase decision, is consistent, then we consider the consumer to be rational, yeah, making the decision based on what would serve the best interest of that person. And then we also assume that the consumer has clear preferences. Clear preferences means that the consumer knows what he or she wants and how much he or she would enjoy in terms of the level of satisfaction. Yeah. But there are a lot of people, they are not certain, they are not sure what they like. Have you ever gone to a restaurant and then your friend will not know what to order even after 30 minutes? So the waiter need to stand there and waiting and waiting, do not know what to order. So even when you are given the menu, you cannot choose which one that you think you prefer. So this is an example of a consumer which doesn't have clear preference. When a consumer doesn't have any clear preference, then we are not able to forecast what would be their purchase decisions, because they are not sure, they are uncertain which one is better than the other from his or her perspective. Yeah. Budget constraint means the consumer has limited income, and therefore the consumer needs to make the purchase decisions within the constraint of the limited income. And the price of the product is given by the market. Yeah. In other words, you have a certain amount of income, let's say 10 ringgit, then you bring this income to the market, and then you want to buy, let's say, 2 products. So this product has prices, and therefore you need to buy those products based on the prices available in the market within the limited income of your within your limited income. Yeah. Okay. So before we go shopping, yeah, we need to understand the concept of marginal utility per dollar. Okay. All right. So let's say you are considering to either buy a pair of a new shoe or a new handbag. Let's say a pair of new shoe will give you 100 utils, and a handbag will give you 150 utils. Okay, so which one will you choose to buy? The shoe or the handbag? Ladies, because it gives you
Handbag, sir.
150 utils, right? 150 utils,
Yes, sir.
which is higher than 100 utils. However, that is not the only consideration. What else you need to consider? What else you need to consider?
The price.
The price, right? Okay, let's say the pair of shoe, the price is 100 ringgit. The handbag, the price is 200 ringgit. So which one will be good value for your money? The shoe, which is priced at 100 ringgit, will give you 100 util. In other words, for every ringgit you pay, you get 1 utils, right? The marginal utility for the shoe is 100. You divide by the price, 100 ringgit. So for every 1 ringgit you pay for the shoe, you will be able to get 1 util. How about with the handbag? The price is 200 ringgit, but you get 150 utils, right? So for every 1 ringgit you pay for the handbag, how many utils you will get?
1.3.
Huh? 1.3? No, it's the other way around. Marginal utility divide by the price, not the price divide by marginal utility.
0.75.
So 150, 0.75, right? So it means that for every $1, 1 ringgit you pay for the handbag, you will only get 0.75 utils, right? Which one is a better value for money?
Shoes.
The shoe, right? So whenever we want to make purchase decisions, we need to compare the level of satisfaction with the price of the good. Yeah. So the formula here is marginal utility divide by the price. Yeah. So that will give you marginal utility per dollar or per price or per ringgit. Okay, let's use a numerical example here. All right. Let's say we want to buy oranges and apples, and we have 10 ringgit in our pocket, and we want to use all of these 10 ringgit to buy a certain number of oranges and apples. Okay, you have a table here? You have a table here? No?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
okay. Now, the table here is showing how many units of oranges and how many units of apples and how many units of oranges and the respective marginal utilities. Yeah. For example, the one on the left is on apples, right? the first unit of apple give you how much marginal utility?
10.
10. The second apple?
8,
8. The third apple?
7,
7. The fourth apple?
6,
6, and so on. Yeah? Okay, on the right we have the marginal utilities for successive units of oranges. First orange, 24. Yeah. Second
24.
orange,
20,
20. Third orange,
18,
18. Fourth orange,
16,
16, and so on. Okay. Now, based on this, we see that the utility for oranges are greater, yeah, in general, right? But this is before we adjust with the price. Yeah? So assuming that the price of apple is 1 ringgit or $1 per unit, the price of oranges are $2 per unit. So when we want to make the decision which one we should buy, we need to adjust, adjust the marginal utility with the price. So do you see another column there, MU over price?
Yes.
Yes.
yes sir, yes
So
sir.
for example, the first unit of apple gave you 10 utils. But since the price of apple is 1, so 10 divided by 1, so marginal utility per dollar will be 10. The second one, was it 8 or 9? 8, right?
Yes.
Second apple 8. So 8 divided by 1, 8. The third one, 7 divided by 1, 7, and so on. So in other words, since the price for apple is $1, then the marginal utility and the marginal utility per dollar, they are the same, right? Right?
Yes.
Because marginal utility divided by $1 for each unit. Yeah. However, for oranges, they are not. Yeah. For example, the first unit of orange gave the consumer 24 utils, but the price per orange is $2. So the marginal utility per dollar will be 24 divided by 2, which
2.
is 12, right?
Yes.
The second one, 20 divided by 2, 10. The third one, 18 divided by 2, 9, and so on, right? Okay. So that is the importance of adjusting marginal utility with the price in the form of marginal utility per dollar. Okay. Now, let us decide which one we should buy first. The first unit of apple or the first unit of orange?
First unit of apple.
If we buy the first unit of apple, the marginal utility per dollar is how much? 10, right? If we buy the first unit of orange, the marginal utility per dollar will be 12, right? Which one is bigger?
12.
12 is bigger, right? So initially we say that in order for us to maximize utility, we need to choose the purchase decisions which give us better value for money, right? In this case, which one gives us better value for money?
Orange.
Orange, right? Because for every $1, we are getting 12 utils. Whereas for every $1 for apple, we are only getting 10 utils, right? So we use $1 to buy the first orange, we get 12 utils. We use the same $1 to buy the first apple, we only get 10 utils. So we should be buying the first orange. Okay. Now, can you write down on a piece of paper? You draw, let's say you draw a shopping basket. Put in that basket one orange. Done? Because we want to keep track how many oranges and apples we purchase, yeah, as we go along this exercise. Done? Okay, put one orange in that basket. Okay, next decision. Okay. Okay. So now what is our next decision? We already purchased one orange, right? Now our next decision, 10 ringgit. So we only have spent 2 ringgit. We have 8 ringgit more. So what next in our purchase decision? Should we buy the second orange or the first apple, right? We haven't purchased any apple because in the first step, we bought one orange. So one orange is already in our basket. The next purchase will be between the second orange or the first apple. Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, which one should we purchase? The second orange or the first apple?
Second orange.
Orange.
First apple will give us how much?
10.
8.
10 UTs per dollar, right? The
10.
second orange will give us
10.
10 as well, right? Okay, so this is where the marginal utility per dollar for both apples and oranges are the same, and this is one criteria for consumer equilibrium. In other words, the consumer maximizes the value per dollar when the consumer is buying the two products with the same marginal utility per dollar. Before this, orange, the first orange is giving the consumer larger marginal utility per dollar. So we purchase the first orange. But now, when we compare between the first apple and the second orange, both of them give the consumer the same marginal utility per dollar. It means that the consumer achieve an equilibrium position where the consumer is able to maximize the value from the income that they have, and therefore the consumer should be buying both. Yeah? Okay, so put one apple and put one more orange in the basket. So what do we have in the basket now?
One apple, one
2
orange.
oranges. One
One
apple, 2
apple and
oranges.
2 oranges. Okay, now so for consumer to maximize utility, there are two conditions. Yeah, two conditions. Number one, marginal utility per dollar for both products are the same. In this example, MU marginal utility for apples divide by the price of apple is equal to the marginal utility for orange divide by the price of orange, which is at 10 utils, right now? Okay. So we satisfy the first condition where the marginal utility per dollar for both products are the same. However, there is a second condition, which is the consumer needs to finish all income allocated to the purchase of these two products. How much income that we have allocated for this purchase? 10. Remember 10 ringgit? We started with 10 ringgit and put it in our pocket, right? 10 ringgit, right? Now, how much we have spent so far?
5 ringgit.
5 ringgit, right? Okay, so we have purchased 2 oranges, which cost us 4 ringgit because each orange is 2 ringgit. And we also purchased 1 apple. Yeah, so for 1 ringgit. Yeah, so altogether we only spend 5 ringgit. So we have remaining 5 ringgit that we can use to buy more apples and more oranges. So even though it satisfies the first condition where the marginal utility per dollar are the same for both products, but it has not satisfied the second condition where the consumer exhausted all income allocated to the purchase of the two products. Okay. Later uh, we will come to the slide that basically show the two conditions, but I'm just telling it now because we are at the point where the consumer is able to satisfy one condition but not the other one. So what we should do now? Go back home,
Buy more.
buy more. Okay, so let's go and buy more apples and oranges. Okay, now what we should buy next? So far we have 2 oranges and 1 apple, right? So our next consideration will be between the third orange or
Second apple.
second apple. Good, yeah. So that's why I have asked you to draw the basket with the apples and oranges inside the basket so that we are able to know how many apples and oranges we currently have. Yeah. So in the basket we have 2 oranges and 1 apple. So next our consideration would be to either buy the third orange or the second apple. So which one should we buy? The third orange or the second apple?
Third
Look at the
orange.
marginal utility per dollar. So the third orange will give us what? 9, right? The second apple will
9.
only give us
Yes.
8.
8, right?
8.
Okay, so this one we should buy the third orange. Yeah. So draw another orange in the basket. Okay. So now we have purchased 3 oranges and
One
how many
apple.
apples? Just 1 apple, right? Okay. So what is our
1
next
apple.
consideration? Either to buy the
The
fourth orange or
second apple.
the
Or
second
the second
apple.
apple.
Yes, always
Third
refer to
and
our basket.
second
Yeah,
apple.
the fourth orange or the second apple. So which one should we buy?
Equivalent.
So it reached another equilibrium here, right? So the fourth orange gives us 8 marginal utility per dollar, and the second apple also give us 8 utility per dollar. So we reach another equilibrium here. So we can maximize the use of our income by buying both goods. Yeah. So 1 apple and 1 orange. Put it in the basket now. So check our basket. How many apples we have and how many oranges we have now?
2 apples.
4 orange.
And 4
2
oranges.
apples.
Okay.
4 oranges.
Okay. So in order for a consumer to maximize utility, are 2 conditions. Number 1, the marginal utility per dollar or per price of the 2 products are the same. So here we are already reaching that. Yeah. So marginal utility per dollar for apple is 8. Marginal utility per dollar for the fourth orange is also 8. Have we satisfied the second condition?
No.
The second condition is we have finished all income. How much income that we allocated to this purchase? 10 ringgit, right? So have we finished
Yes.
all 10 ringgit?
Yes.
Yes, right. So 2
No.
apples cost us 2 ringgit. 4 oranges cost us 8
8
ringgit,
ringgit.
right? So 2 ringgit for apples, 8 ringgit for oranges. So we have finished all the 10 ringgit. Right? So we have also satisfied the second condition. Right? So this will be the utility maximization purchase for the consumer. The consumer given a 10 ringgit income to spend on these two products, and given the marginal utility as shown in this table, based on the price of apple of 1 and the price of orange of 2, the consumer will maximize utility by buying 2 apples and 4 oranges. Okay, let's look at the decision making process. Yeah? Okay, this is a summary of the purchase decisions. So we buy the we buy first the first orange, and then because the first orange give the consumer higher marginal utility per dollar, but then the next decision we buy both first apple and second orange because both of them give the consumer the same marginal utility per dollar. However, even though this is a consumer equilibrium point, but we have yet to satisfy the second condition, which is to finish all income allocated to the purchase of these two products. So we continue buying more apples and oranges. So in the next decision, we purchase the third orange because the third orange gives us more marginal utility per dollar as compared to the second apple. And then the next decision, we consider to buy either the fourth orange or the second apple. Since the two give us the same marginal utility per dollar, therefore we buy them both. Yeah. And then after that, we are able to also finish all income allocated to the purchase of the two products. Therefore, we reach consumer equilibrium and exhaustion of our income. So consumer will maximize utility by buying 2 apples and 4 oranges. Okay. Now, going back to this table, how much is the total utility that the consumer will derive from this? Can you compute how much the total utility that the consumer derive from this purchase bundle? So the consumer is purchasing 2 apples and 4 oranges, right? So compute the total utility from this. So how do you compute? They don't give you total utility values, right? What do they give? They give you marginal utility. So you need to accumulate the marginal utility. The first apple give you 10. The second apple give you 8. So 10 plus 8. So 18 utils from the 2 apples. And then from oranges, the first one give us 24. You don't use 12, yeah? 12 after adjusting with the price. Yeah, marginal utility per dollar is used to compare the purchase decisions between the two products based on the adjustment on the price. But when we want to compute total utility, we just refer to the unadjusted marginal utility value. Okay, so the first unit give us 24, the second unit give us 20, the third unit give us 18, the fourth unit give us 16. Yeah? So 24 plus 20 plus 18 plus 16, how much?
78.
How much?
78.
78 from oranges.
Yeah.
Plus the 18 from apples?
96.
96. So total utility for the consumer for buying 2 apples and 4 oranges is 96 utils. So far so good?
96.
Yeah? So far so good, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is the utility maximizing rule that I have mentioned earlier. The first one, the consumer allocate its income so that the last dollar spent on the two products yield the consumer the same marginal
Yes, sir.
utility per dollar. In other words, MUA over price of A equals to MUB over the price of B. A here refers to apples in our example, B here refers to oranges in our example earlier. What if we have three goods? Apple, oranges, bananas. Will this rule still apply? The answer is yes. Yeah. So if we have 3 or even 4 goods, then our previous exercise still remains the same. We need to adjust the marginal utility per dollar for all the goods. Let's say we have MUA, MUB, MUC. Yeah. Then we need to create another column for MUA over price of A, MUB over price of B, and MUC over price of C. MU means marginal utility. Okay, and then we will continue with the consideration. What would be the value for money? Is it the first unit of A, or the first unit of B, or the first unit of C? Yeah, just like we did earlier, but now we are considering 3 goods, right? So we will choose to buy the good that give us the higher marginal utility per dollar. If MUB over price of B is higher than MUA over the price of A, or MUC over the price of C, we will buy B. But if they are all the same, then we will buy them all. So that will be consumer equilibrium position. And when we have exhausted all income, then that will be the final decision of consumer purchase. Yeah. The second condition, is we have exhausted all income. Yeah. Okay. Now deriving the demand curve. Now we know earlier that the law of demand says, as price goes down, quantity demanded goes up, and as price goes up, quantity demanded goes down, assuming that other factors remain constant, right? Okay. Now let us try to see what happened to the consumer's decision if we assume that the price of orange declined from 2 ringgit to 1 ringgit. Okay, so let's go back to our earlier table. Okay, now what can you see here? The table. Okay, you have here the table, right?
Yeah, numerical example.
Okay, all right. Now, okay, before this, we compute marginal utility per dollar for orange by dividing marginal utility by the price of 2, right? Now, we assume now that the price of orange has declined from 2 ringgit to 1 ringgit. What will be the impact?
We will buy more orange.
The impact is marginal utility per dollar will be larger lah. Yeah, will be larger, right? Okay. For example, now the first unit of orange will give us 24 utils. But when the price now is 1, so 24 utils divided by $1, 1 ringgit. So marginal utility per dollar will be 24 instead of 12, right? For the second unit, marginal utility is 20 utils. Now we divide by 1, not 2. So the marginal utility per dollar will be 20. It's not 10. Yeah. For the third unit, marginal utility is 18. Before this, we divide by 2 equals to 9. Now, we only divide by 1 equals 18. All right. So, are you following so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's try what will be the consumer maximum utility combination of the two products when the price is now reduced to $1 for orange. Okay, can you draw another basket? Huh? Have you got a new basket? Yep. Okay, empty basket, yeah, empty basket. So which one we should buy first? The first apple or the first orange?
Orange,
Why?
because utils are much higher now.
So first orange will give us 24 marginal utility per dollar, right?
Yeah.
The first apple will only give us 10 marginal utility per dollar. Remember, the price of orange has now declined to only 1 ringgit. That's why we have a new marginal utility per dollar for orange. Yeah, 24 divided by 1 now equals to 24. Right? First orange, put it in the basket. So next purchase will be between second orange or
First apple.
first apple, right? So which one is bigger?
Orange.
Second orange will give us 20 marginal
Orange.
utility per dollar. So we buy the second orange. Okay. The next purchase, put that in your basket. Yeah, put the second orange in your basket. The third purchase will be between the third orange or the first apple.
First apple, sir.
First apple, right?
Yeah.
No. First apple give us only
No.
10.
Third orange.
Yeah.
Third
Good.
orange give us how much?
18.
18, right?
Yeah.
Now it's
18.
18, right? 18. Yeah, 18. Yeah. So third orange give us 18. So we will buy the third orange. So put that in the basket. So now we have 3 oranges in the basket, 0 apples. So the next purchase will be between fourth orange or first apple. Which one?
It's fourth orange.
Fourth orange will give us
16.
16, right? Okay, more than the 10 that apple will give us. So fourth orange.
Yes.
How about the next one? Fifth orange or first apple?
Fifth orange.
Fifth orange give us
Fifth orange.
how much?
12.
12.
12, right? Okay.
12.
Another orange in the basket. So what next? Six orange or first apple?
First apple.
Six orange
apple.
will give us how much?
3. No. Six
No,
apple will
six,
give us
Six.
6.
six orange.
6 orange will give us 6.
6. Okay, now we don't buy the 6 orange. So we will buy the first apple, right? Okay, put 1 apple in the basket. Can we check how many oranges we have in the basket?
Yeah.
5
5.
apple.
5 oranges and 1
apple.
apple.
5 oranges.
Okay.
1 apple.
Okay, good. So now the next consideration will be to buy either the 6 orange or the second apple, right?
Yeah.
6 orange or the second apple. Which one is bigger?
Apple.
Second apple, right?
Yes.
Okay, put another apple in the basket. So now we have 2 apples and 5 oranges. Okay. So what next? The 6 orange or the third apple?
7th orange.
No, 6. 6
Okay.
orange or the third apple?
Third apple.
Oh.
Third apple will give us 7, right?
Yeah.
Third apple.
6 orange will give us 6, right? So we choose the third apple. Okay. So I'm recording this and I will make this available later. So if you are not sure what would be the next purchase and so on, you just you can watch it later and then follow it again. Yeah. So now we will buy the third apple, right? Because the third apple will give us 7 marginal utility per dollar as compared to the 6 orange which will give us only 6 marginal utility per dollar. So how many apples we have now?
3.
3. How many oranges?
5.
5, right?
5.
Okay, so
Five.
the next one would be between 6 orange or 4th apple.
Both.
Which one is bigger?
Same.
They are the same, right? Okay, so we reach an
Equivalent,
equilibrium position where both give us the same marginal utility per dollar.
Same.
6 and 6, right? So we buy them both. So how much we have now? 4 apples and
6
6 orange.
oranges.
6 oranges. Fulfill the second condition. Have we finished all income?
Yes.
Yes, 4 apple cost us 4 ringgit and
Yes.
6 oranges cost us 6 ringgit. So altogether 10 ringgit. Okay. Can you compute the total utility for this?
127.
You are very fast, eh? So total utility, so for apples will be 10 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6. That is for apples. Plus total utility from oranges, 24 plus 20 plus 18 plus 16 plus
12.
12 plus
6.
6. Yeah, so altogether it's 100,
124.
huh? 24 or 27?
127.
127.
120?
Sorry.
I don't have a calculator.
127.
127.
96
Okay,
plus
good. Yeah,
31.
127. Okay. Okay, can you see the diagram here? Can you see the graph here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, remember what we did earlier? When the price of orange was 2 ringgit, how many orange the consumer purchased?
4 orange.
Look at the first basket. We have 4 oranges in the basket, right? Okay. So when the price was 2, the consumer purchased 4 units of oranges. In the second example, when the price of oranges dropped to 1 ringgit, how many oranges we purchased?
6.
6 units, right? So now
Yeah.
we are able to derive the demand curve because we have 2 points now. Yeah, look at the diagram. On the y-axis, we have the price. On the x-axis, we have the quantity of oranges. When the price was 2, quantity of oranges was 4. Now, when the price reduced to 1, the quantity of oranges is 6. So we have 2 points. When we combine these 2 points, then we will have the demand curve for oranges, which is downward sloping in nature. Okay. So in topic 4, we talk about demand and the law of demand. Topic 3, we talk about demand and the law of demand, and we say that the law of demand shows a negative or inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. However, now we have actually proved, that when a consumer is maximizing utility, because all this while we are assuming that the consumer is maximizing utility, choosing the best purchase decision based on what is value for money, right? In terms of the marginal utility per dollar, we have discovered that the consumer will buy more when the price is lower. Yeah. So as a conclusion to this class, we have actually proved that the law of demand is true, and we have derived the demand curve for orange based on the declining price from $2 to $1 in our earlier example. Okay, so inshallah we will continue with other topics in our future classes. Any question before we end?
No.
Okay,
Doctor,
yes.
I want to ask how much time do we have for the exercise?
From 11:30 to 3:30.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the whole time from
Sir?
11:30 to 3:30. Yes.
Sir, for the exercise on this Thursday, is it MCQ?
There will be a combination lah. You need to fill in the blank. Maybe there's a MCQ as well.
How many questions, sir?
I think between 20 to 30 questions.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. So please do a revision on topic 4, market failures and externalities, and topic 5 on elasticities. Yep. Okay. See you all in future online classes. Thank you very much. If you have any other questions, just drop the question in our WhatsApp group. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Have a good day ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Keep safe. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, sir.
See you guys.
Thank you, sir.
See you.
Yep. Thanks.